Shalom, shalom, Yasharala. I'd like to begin, as always, by saying I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to the only living power, right? Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, right? His only begotten Son, our Lord, Yahweh Shai. All praises be to the hopeful elect of Yasharala that are out there on the highways and byways, pushing this doctrine, the true doctrine of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, so that they may receive their crowns of salvation. May you receive your crowns of salvation at the second return of our Lord. And a great salutations to the great cloud of witnesses of Yasharallah all throughout the world, no matter what they look like, what country or what country they've been scattered to, but truly they are the children of Israel. You know, and are sincere, those that be sincere and believing in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai and calling upon that name and believing in the true doctrine of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, like Great Millstone teaches. Okay, may the Lord grant you your His salvation at His appearing. So there's a lot of I'm on my coffee break. First thing I did was checked out the news. You know, well, with me, I'm always checking out RT, right? And seeing what's up with Magog, man. What's up, my man Magog? What's up, Magog? Out there, right? So, and what's going on between Magog, you know, which is Russia, the U.S., NATO, which is the beast, America being the horde that sits upon the beast, and you know, and the EU. The EU is the 10 horns, right? So there's some juicy articles, and I'm gonna see how far this might be a two-part thing. See how far into them I could get. So just bear with me. Hope this is gonna be a edifying lesson, but I'm sure it is, because it's all surrounding and dealing with prophecy. Okay, so let's go. First article up was this one, right? EU, which are the 10 horns. And let me pull up real quick. The EU says EU must avoid escalation into World War III. Bloc's top diplomat. That's what the Bloc's top diplomat said. Because definitely that's what we're approaching, right? The third woe. Look up the third woe in the book of Revelation. Okay? That represents the third great destruction that's going to take place. And that's going to be the last of all wars to take place. After that is the kingdom of the Heavenly Father and His Son right here on earth. All right? It says Brussels will help Ukraine, but needs to avoid war with Russia. Joseph Borrell cautioned. The High Representative of the European Union for Foreign Affairs, Joseph Borrell, has warned that the European bloc must do what it can to avoid the escalation of war. And what time we living in? Right? We're living in a time of war, not peace. There's a time for everything, right? When you go to the book of Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter. This was the other one I had. The title is Russia Withdraws from Council of Europe. Yeah, because the Council of Europe, that's the 10 horns. Russia got nothing to do with the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. Okay. Russia is, although they're Edomites, they're not a part of that beast structure. All right, that's why, and it's all set. This is all set up in the spirit, man. Okay, that's why they're pulling away from anything to do with Europe. It says Russia withdraws from Council of Europe. Okay. And I believe the conception of the European Economic what was it? The European Economic Community, or the EU, was first conceived by something called the Club of Rome. Now I got to go back and check myself on that, but I believe that was from this meeting or something called a council called the Club of Rome, because that's exactly what these nations did. They were coming together to pretty much come back to revive the Roman Empire, and Russia wasn't a part of that. Okay, so it says NATO, and NATO is the beast. NATO allies can enjoy talking to each other at the European Forum, Moscow said. After being suspended from the Council of Europe over its military attack against Ukraine, Russia has announced on Thursday that it has no wish to be a part of a body it describes as subverted to the geopolitical goals of the U.S. Exactly, because they are the great dragon, the great red dragon, or a part of the great red dragon that you read about in the book of Revelation. So they pulled away, right? Which means what? That's the Most High putting the hooks on Magog's jaw and pulling them away. Pulling them away so that they could go against this beast structure. The beast with 7 heads, with 7 heads and 10 horns structure, and against the horde that sits upon that beast. See, that's straight up prophecy right there. That's in the scriptures. It says the foreign ministry further claimed that Moscow's foes are abusing. It says the foreign ministry further claimed that Moscow's foes are abusing their dominance of the organization and are dismantling a common humanitarian space on the shared continent. It says the measure will also mean that Russians no longer have recourse to the European Court of Human Rights, which operates under the Council's auspices. It also potentially allows Moscow to reintroduce the judicial death penalty, a move which has recently been mooted by former President Dmitry Medvedev. At the moment, Russian courts may sentence convicts to death for some serious offenses, but no executions are carried out due to its obligations as a member of the transcontinental body. Russia has no intention of tolerating the subversive actions of the collective West, which seek to substitute international law, which the U.S. and its satellites have trampled on, with a rules-based order. The ministry statement said Moscow won't be a part of a transformation of the oldest European organization into a run-of-the-mill platform where NATO allies can chant invocations of Western chant invocations. That means witchcraft. All right, because that's how they operate, man. They use witchcraft, man. Chant invocations of Western superiority and engage in narcissism. The short message said, let them enjoy talking to each other without Russia, the ministry concluded. So was that a pulling away, right? Hooks into their jaws, pulling away so that they could get back to how they used to be. The Committee of Ministers of the Council of Europe suspended Russia's representation, because they never had Russia's what was that? They never had Russia's they never had good intentions for Russia anyway. They just wanted to, a means to deceive Russia and trying to have Russia trust them, so that way they could capture Russia, take over Russia, and that in their attempt of world domination. Okay, it says the committee and Putin is a neo czar, man. Okay, he's a modern day czar. Okay, over Russia. All right. It says the Committee of Ministers of the Council of Europe suspended Russia's representation throughout the organization on February 25th. The punitive action was taken in response to the Russian military offensive against Ukraine. Secretary General Marija Pesanovic Burek, that's a hard word, hard name to pronounce. It said Moscow was still obliged to pay its share of the annual budget to the organization, which amounts to about $37.6 million and was due by the end of June. Russia was accused by many Western commentators of leveraging its financial contributions to the Council to end its 5-year suspension after the 2014 reintegration of Crimea. Council members agreed to reinstate Moscow in 2019, much to the chagrin of Kiev. Moscow, a top council donor, paused its payments in 2017 and promised to pay back what it owed only after its rights were to be restored. Commenting on the news, Russian Senator Andriy Klishas said Moscow should immediately start the procedure of formal withdrawal from the Council of Europe. He added that Russia should also stop all payments to the benefit of the organization. Klishas, who chairs the Committee of Constitutional Law in the upper chamber of the Russian parliament, downplayed the importance of the change. He told journalists, as cited by RIA or RIA Novosti, that the court has always been a subsidiary institution that often passed politicized judgments and overstep its mandate. So, that's prophecy, right? Russia totally pulling away from anything having to do with Europe's and the U.S. Narrative on any kind of democratic negotiations or whatever, man, because it's all part of that New World Order system anyway, and Russia ain't down with it. Russia don't trust them, and it's the spirit that the Most High has on the Russians, on Putin, all right, which is Magog, man. All right, so this is prophecy. Now I just saw another good article, juicy article. Yeah, because this situation, like I said, could increase and end up turning into that great war, all right? If that's what the Most High wills it to be, it remains to be seen, but that's what we're looking for. We're looking for these things, man. Who gives a shit of these phony ass Israelites out there? All right, claiming to be believers in Yahweh Shai, but their doctrine is filled with all kind of holes. Who gives a shit about them? I don't. And at the end, the Most High is gonna destroy every last one of them. So I like to pay attention to stuff like this. This is juicy. This builds up your faith. It says Trump claims Americans should be scared of nuclear war with Russia. It says, speaking on the Full Send podcast released on Wednesday, former U.S. President Donald Trump addressed his fears about the potentially escalating situation in Ukraine, as NATO, backed by the United States, offered its support amid Russia's ongoing conflict with its neighbor. Responding to a question about whether the situation could spiral into a nuclear war, hitting out at his successor, Joe Biden, Trump claimed Americans should be scared because we have incompetent people heading up our country. Yeah, no shit. You got a half a half dead president, man. You know, and then a woman for a vice president. It's the weakest cabinet ever, man. In the leading this country, man. So America is at its weakest right now. All right, stick a fork in her because she's through. When pressed by the host about whether the threat was likely immediate, Trump argued that the situation was serious and condemned the current administration's claim that it didn't want to fight Russia because it was a nuclear power as weakness. It says while conceding that Russia was indeed a nuclear power, Trump reminded listeners that America also had nuclear capabilities that would deter aggression from Moscow. Despite this, however, he admitted that there was a chance there would be a world war, given the current tensions. The former president's comments follow an appearance on the Republican National Committee's Real America YouTube show, where he argued that Biden was being pushed around by Russian President Vladimir Putin, and said he didn't think the U.S. had ever been at a lower point than it is right now. The United States has an estimated 5,428 nuclear weapons, including those that are actively deployed, are held in reserve, and remember that's not counting the warheads. Okay, that's talking about the missiles themselves, and each missile could contain up to 100 warheads. All right, hence, you know, well, and the other nations, they got way more than this. All right, and that's why when you read about the 200,000, 200 million missiles is going into the warheads. You know, it says the United States has an estimated 5,428 nuclear weapons, including those that are actively deployed, are held in reserve, and that have been retired, according to the Federation of American Scientists. The FAS assessed earlier this year that Russia had 5,977 nuclear warheads. Okay, so they're talking about the warheads. It says giving it a larger stockpile than America, and then you got all the other nations that got them. So there's gonna be, everyone who's gonna be against the U.S. At the end of it all, they're gonna shoot out even the EU nations. They're gonna shoot off their weapons, because you can read about that in the book of Revelation, the 17th chapter. Towards the end, I believe is you begin at the 11th verse on down to the end. It says that they shall eat her flesh, that they shall burn her with fire. Along with Russia, along with the other nations, man. Because it was the U.S. that instigated a lot of wickedness on this planet Earth, man, and the nations are fed up. So that's it. That's pretty much it, man. I could go into all kind of scriptures, and it's we always touch base, and I guess I could end it with Joel, the 3rd chapter. This is the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter, in the 1st verse. It says, "For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations, and I will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat." All right. In Hebrew, that word Jehoshaphat translates to Yahweh Shaphat. Yahweh is the name of the Father. Shaphat means judgment. The place of the Most High's judgment, man. And that is over there in the fertile, what is known as the Fertile Crescent, the Middle East, right? The Levant region. "And will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage." See, the Lord is causing all this to happen so that we could get back in our land. Because imposters are in our land, man. Devils are in our land. They don't keep the laws of the Most High. All right? They got queers and steers over there, man. All right? They got kosher pig. Okay? So don't give me that shit, man. So they don't, they're not over there establishing the laws of the Most High, making sure that all nations bow down to them. Okay? Since they've been there hasn't been no peace on earth and goodwill towards men. There's been nothing but hate, murder, bloodshed. Men attacking other men. Moles everywhere, It says, I will also gather all nations and will plead and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, right? Yahweh, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, meaning one nation that he chose to be his over all nations, so that they could rule over all nations on the planet Earth, man. All right? He never changed that. Whom they have scattered among the nations, you see, and parted my land. The land to this very day is parted. The nation of Israel is scattered throughout every single nation on the planet Earth. Now they're looking like the other nations, man. But their spirit shows that they are Israelites, man. All right? And how do you know it? Their spirit, man, by the soul, man, that living soul they have. The way they dance, the way they sing, the way they eat, the way they make love, So, yeah, you could tell an Israelite, man, from a straight up dismal zombified heathen, okay? That looks like a freaking robot, all right? And walks around like he's a fucking zombie. It says, yeah, the Israelites are lively, man. We're filled with soul, with energy. We're alive, man. We're alive because we come from a living power, man, not a piece of stone or wood, all right, or something like that. So I'm gonna leave it there. And like I said, hopefully that was to the point and edifying, and Lord willing, I could continue this or just come up with another lesson involving what's happening, all right, with Russia and Ukraine. All right, so with that, I'm gonna say shalom.